Hi everyone. Today we have a very typical game for Mikhail Tal. When faced with essentially a draw for, he decided to sacrifice his queen instead. Crazy. So Beerbagger had the white pieces, opened with d4, and Tal opts for the Benoni. It was one of his favorites. We get very unbalanced play in this line. So now d5, e6, knight c3 takes, d6 and e4. So we start to see the imbalances taking shape. Black has 3 on the queen side versus white's 2, while white has 2 on the center against black's single pawn. So normally black's play will come on the form of play on the queen side, while white try to play on the king side. Now g6, knight f3, bishop g7, bishop e3, castles, and here by far the most natural moves to play bishop g4, trade the bishop for this knight, and to gain control over the dark squares. However, Tal, for whatever reason, decided to play this move knight to a6. Although many times this knight will go to the c7 to the c7 square, preparing the pawn push pawn to b5. However, Tal's idea was rather different after the move knight d2, which is a very, very nice move. Looking to go to the c4 square and getting off of potential pins with bishop g4, he plays the move knight b4, which is rightly deemed a mistake. This is the perfect example of a move which feels good but does not actually accomplish anything. It's one move attack, which is simply move out of the way, and now this knight does not have any targets and just has to go back later in the game. So rook e8, a3, see that it has to go back, rook e1, and now knight c7. So Tal finally realizes where the knight actually belongs. Now, queen c2, rook b8, and since b5 is actually threatened, white plays the move a4. The pawn goes to b6, and it cannot go to b5, and here you can say that white's play started to go on a free fall as Beerbagger played the move knight to b5. This move not only doesn't achieve anything, it helps black. a6 by Tal, knight takes c7, queen takes c7. So black has managed to play these two improving moves, while all white has done is to trade a pair of knights, which is definitely not much progress. Now, the rook goes to a2, which seems absurd at first sight. However, this is a very, very common plan. In the Benoni, the idea is to contest the bishop for the long diagonal. Now queen e7, threatening the pawn on e4, but f3 simply isn't the way to cut it, because due to the pressure you cannot take the pawn. For example, you can just simply continue with your plan of pawn to b3, and if black takes, you can play the move bishop e3, winning back your pawn, and continue with your plan of bishop e2. So after f3, Tal plays a very, very nice move, knight to h5. When your opponent shows hesitation, pounce. This move not only prepares to go to the f4 square, it also prepares to get the queen into the kingside attack, possibly later in the game. So now the knight goes to f1, defending the f4 square, and now f5. This was the other idea. We try to open up the position and the kingside. So you saw that we were playing on the queen side, but when we see this weakening move, we immediately turn our attention over here to the king side. Now, the bishop goes to d3, another very, very nice move. You do not really want to open the position now because everything is pointing at our king. So, f4. Great move by Tal. By far, by some distance, the best move in the position. Now, the king side is locked so that we can simply bring our pieces there and restrict our opponent's pieces. You see, this knight actually cannot go anywhere. Now, the move g4. So it's a very, very nice move by Beerbagger, who just doesn't wait to see his own demolition. So, now the bishop goes to d4 with check, king here, and now queen h4. So it's not a sacrifice, we're attacking the rook. So the rook goes out of the way, and now we play queen h3. We're hitting this knight, we're hitting this pawn as well. Now the move rook g2 cuts off the connection of the queen to the knight, but Tal said the pawn is hanging, so let's take it, right? However, this move is a mistake because the queen is very, very clumsy on the square. Beerbagger plays knight d2, queen goes back, knight f1 again, the queen goes back, and knight goes again to d2. So now if you repeat once more, it's going to be a draw. But we definitely know that Tal hated draws. He would probably just punch you in the face if you did offer him a draw in the game. So rather than taking a draw, he decided to sacrifice his queen. Bishop takes g4. It really seems tempting at first sight, but it is refutable. I mean, Beerbagger couldn't refute that he was twice the Uzbek champion, so probably you can as well. Knight takes and bishop takes. On that note, I also probably cannot find the refutation here. Beerbagger plays the move h4. It's a very nice move. Just freeing up this h2 square to get out of the pin, and we don't have to take the rook immediately because this rook is like the pre you've caught and you can just, you know, play with it. It doesn't go anywhere. So rook f8. Now, the bishop goes to e2, and yeah, finally Birbagher just succumbed to the pressure. So this move loses to a combination of a 2-3 moves. I'll give you a few seconds to find it. Okay, the correct move is to play the move knight to g3 check. So now we've got eyes all over here, right? That's why we win material. Now the king goes to h2. Now the rook is unpinned, we take the rook first, and then we take the bishop. And if the queen takes, which it did, we have this very, very nice fork f3. It's just pleasing, really. Now queen takes pawn, rook takes queen, king takes rook, and now we just get into an endgame where you're up a single pawn. That's all it takes, almost. All of it in Tal's games. You know, you play some amazing tactical position, but at the end it all comes down to a pawn or two. Now the rook goes to f8, king g3, bishop e5 check, king g2, and now the bishop goes to f4, and Birbagher simply resigned because the rook will infiltrate on f4 no matter what you do. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and perhaps learned something from it. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later.